Today, we're stepping right into the fractured mind of one of literature's most chilling characters. We're going to dissect Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart, a story about a calculated murder, a house that becomes a mental prison, and a confession driven by the phantom beating of a guilty conscience. Let's dive in. Right from the very first line, the narrator throws down a challenge. He pleads his case, insisting he's not mad, he's just nervous. This immediately puts us on shaky ground, doesn't it? It sets up the big question of the entire story. Can we trust the person who's guiding us into the darkness? And that's the central conflict right there. He's going to tell us a story to prove he's perfectly sane, but the story he tells is, well, the ultimate proof that he's completely lost his mind. Okay, so this is where it gets really twisted. On the one hand, our narrator sounds smart. He tells his story with a kind of chilling logic and precision. But on the other hand, what he actually does is totally unhinged. There's no real motive, no reason for any of it, just pure instability. He thinks the careful way he planned everything proves he's sane, but really, the madness is in the plan itself. Because of this tension, it's pretty much impossible to just slap a simple diagnosis on the guy. People have tried. Psychotic, obsessive, you name it. But the real horror of the story is that he doesn't fit neatly into any box. That's what makes him feel so terrifyingly real. So, if it wasn't for money or revenge, why do it? What was the motive? The narrator gives us only one reason: this all-consuming, irrational obsession with the old man's pale blue eye, his vulture eye. But it's not really about the eye, is it? It's a symbol of this constant judging gaze, a paranoia that he feels he just has to eliminate. And this wasn't some snap decision. Oh no. For 7 straight nights, he performs this creepy ritual, sneaking in, watching the old man sleep. He even hears a death watch beetle, a classic omen of death, so he knows time is running out. And then on the 8th night, he sees the eye is open, and everything just happens. Now, this whole twisted obsession plays out inside a single house, and that's so important, because the house isn't just a building. It's a metaphor for the prison inside the narrator's own head. It's this idea of psychological confinement, where the physical space you're in starts to reflect what's going on inside your mind. The walls are literally closing in. There's no escape from the house, and there's definitely no escape from his own thoughts. I mean, think about it. His entire world is just these few rooms. He hides the body right there, under the floorboards. In a way, he's just as trapped as the victim he buried. He's imprisoned himself with his own secret. So the deed is done, and at first, he's on top of the world, so confident. He lets the police in, sits them down for a chat, couldn't be calmer. But then, a sound begins, and that sound is going to be his total undoing. See, the narrator doesn't seem to feel bad about what he did. No remorse, no empathy at all. But that guilt doesn't just disappear into thin air. It has to go somewhere. And in this case, it turns into something physical, a sound he just can't block out. And this is the absolute genius of the story. That telltale heart, it's not a ghost, it's not supernatural. It's an auditory hallucination. It's the sound of his own heart, pounding away with fear and guilt. His broken mind just convinces him it's coming from under the floor. And that brings us to the climax. He's sitting with the police, literally right above the body, and that carefully built calm he has is about to shatter, beat by beat by beat. At first, it's barely there, just a faint thumping. He tries to ignore it, talks louder, tries to act normal, but it's no use. The first crack in his sanity has appeared. What a description, right? A watch enveloped in cotton. It's muffled, it's rhythmic, it's a countdown. It's the ticking clock on his freedom, and it's getting faster. The sound gets stronger, and so does his panic. He's up on his feet, pacing, raving. And the cops? They're just sitting there, smiling, totally clueless about the storm brewing inside his head. Now it's unbearable. It's a deafening roar of guilt that fills the entire room, his entire mind. It shatters whatever sanity he had left. He just can't take it anymore. And there it is, the confession. He just breaks, a frantic, desperate scream that brings the whole perfect crime crashing down around him. He finally gives a voice to the sound that drove him mad. Wow, what an ending. So let's just step back for a second. Why is this story so powerful? Why does it still get under our skin after all these years? Well, Poe was a master of the game. He gives us a narrator we know we can't trust, a setting that feels like a hazy nightmare, and he completely blurs the line between what's real and what's just a hallucination. It's the perfect recipe for horror. Ultimately, the story's real genius is that it never gives you easy answers. Poe drops you right inside the narrator's head and basically says, good luck. He forces you to navigate this nightmare right alongside him, trying to figure out what's real. And that's the question we're left with, isn't it? Is this a story of a complete mental breakdown, a legitimate ghost story, or is the whole thing just a terrible dream being retold? The truth is, it could be any of them. And that uncertainty, that is what makes The Telltale Heart an absolute masterpiece.